All right, today I was sitting in the office talking to a coworker that's worked at this company for around 4 years, and he started giving me observations about what happens to the workers in a place like this because he himself has quietly been looking for other employment for as long as I've known him. And some of the things that he pointed out to me today, I really hadn't addressed on this channel or really thought about in depth, but there are certain signs that the workforce is changing, that the job economy is becoming incredibly more toxic for young people, and it's leaving out people over 40. People who are getting older, even in the technology field, even when they put in their hard time into getting up into these much higher paying jobs, are not making it. And the reason for that is simple. They're not designed to be helpful to the individual. They're just becoming regular work. It's technology work, but it's not going to work. And you're just kind of left twiddling your thumbs, wondering, wait a minute, I can expect in my 20s to be gaining experience towards a meaningful job. Well, then your 30s pass. You're still not there. And then you start getting much older and you realize that, all the time that I was supposed to be building myself up into a senior level worker, I've been working at McDonald's. I've been working in an Amazon warehouse. I've been working at a car wash. I've been unemployed for extended years at a time while I looked for work, while I looked for a career, and you never found it. This person that I was talking to went to a technology trade school and feels like that was a complete and total waste of time. So we both ended up at the same company through different avenues. He chose a traditional trade school. I chose a 4 year university, and we're both stuck in the same place with nowhere to go. All right, so today I have four talking points. So I wrote a paragraph about what we talked about today, and these are the talking points that I have, and each one is very good. So put on your ears or pull your ears out and listen to some knowledge coming your way. So this one is something that I've seen in my comment section for many years. Jobs once considered career building have become temporary stops offering little more than a paycheck and leading to widespread employee dissatisfactions. Career building jobs used to be what technology was. But now you're coming into a workplace in which they're offering little more than a paycheck that leads to nothing. And we're talking these paychecks have gotten into the $15 to $20 bracket. They are starting to include much more complicated jobs in that bracket because they've figured out that they don't have to pay people a whole lot. Once you saturate the market with technology workers, it's just like anything else, any other trade. There are too many people with the same amount of skills, or in some cases, very low skills, and so it just becomes a temporary stop for these people. They can't just come into a job and hope that they become senior level employees. The system is not designed that way anymore. When you're coming into even a job that should be better than a temp agency, regular jobs are starting to treat workers just like a temporary hire. They're not interested in investing in you. They're not interested in paying you well. They're not interested in you as a person. More and more jobs are starting to treat people with a very disrespectful attitude. And that disrespect, that realizing that you are not going to accomplish anything on this job other than to put the fries in the bag, little bro, is causing many people coming into the workplace, and not just young people, but older people, to start turning their nose and having an attitude about being in the workplace. Talking point number two. How businesses are more inclined to burn out employees and replace them rather than investing in their growth. This is something that I've heard from every person that's worked at the Intel plant down the street, is that they're not interested in their employees. Burnout is become so normal in a place like that that I've had so many job interviews scheduled at Intel where I didn't get hired, but they're continuously hiring for the same jobs. And that's how you know that a job is bad. My current job has all the signs of a bad job. Reposting a job every 10 days on Indeed because you can't find someone who can stomach the job for that long. And this means that they have this mentality of burn out the employees and replace them as often as you have to. Today, while I was sitting in my office talking to this senior level technology guy, I looked over at my email and I saw a name of a person that I've known for the entire time that I've worked for this company. He's a technology worker. He's a good technology worker. In fact, they tried to hire him into my group. But the powers that be said he was no more. And without giving him his 2 week notice, they threw him out on the street like yesterday's trash. And that guy's probably sitting at home right now wondering, what am I going to do? I'm young. I don't have a traditional education. I don't have anyone to help me. I don't have a car. I don't have savings. And right now, finding a job is probably one of the toughest things you're going to do in exceeding the $15 to $20 bracket. But they don't care. The burnout replace model has taken hold all over this country, and it's being extremely profitable. Because why let your employees get old in a position where they're going to start demanding living wages when you can burn them out in 6 months, pop them out like a tampon, and then pop in a fresh one? That's what we live in our society. You're constantly getting bloodied up or bludgeoned up, however you want to see it. And then once you're saturated, out you go. And almost on a monthly cycle. Ironically enough, almost on a monthly cycle. Pop one in, Susie Rottencrotch, pop it out, and boom, start all over. And train them over and over and over again. And what I've noticed with training people, since I'm on my fourth Gen Z, each one gets progressively worse than the last one because every one of them is getting less investment. They want to spend as little time as humanly possible making certain that they're going to be a good employee because they know they're not going to stay. Everything about the job says to that person is a red flag. How many people have been doing this job? How many times have they quit or been fired? And you're constantly retraining. And this is something I noticed at Walmart too, is that my supervisor would sometimes come up to me and say, Millennial Statement feels like I'm training a new cashier every week. That's really what it comes down to. The lower the investment, the lower the training, the lower the benefits, the lower the retention. But guess what? It doesn't matter to Evil Corp because what's the incentive? If you're generating record profits every year, you're doing something right. All right, moving on to talking point number 3, the false promise of career advancement. Keep workers in the same role without real prospects of promotion. You know, when I remember when I got hired at that call center a few years ago, that they promised you an incredible a life. They promised you that you would be making so much money and that it would be so easy. And as long as you stuck in there with the training and that you continued to try and you worked really hard, that's something that came up in my conversation today with this other tech worker. The fact that you can work really hard at something doesn't mean that the outcome is going to be good. In fact, we use the analogy of working at McDonald's. You can be the best hamburger cooker in the world. You can bust your hump. You can give it 110% every single day. But just because you work really hard at something doesn't mean you're going to get something out of it. Believe me, Susie Rottencrotch out there behind the Taco Bell is working really hard. She's out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She never gets tired. She never complains. She's out there, you know, wind, snow, fire, natural disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes, the ground opening up right beneath where she spreads her legs. But Susie's there. She's a trooper. But no matter how hard Susie works at being a Susie Rottencrotch, at the end of the day, nothing matters. And that's what most jobs are. You can come into work and just leave it all there. And if you're not in the right opportunity, all that hard work goes to waste. And no corporation wants you to know that. That you're working hard in a dead end job will never make that job any better. So you're going to stay in the same position on the hamster wheel, expecting for that promotion to come. But year one comes, year two comes. Let's say it's your year 20. And this is something that I actually saw while I was working at the call center is people who had the 20-year trophy on their desk and were still making the same amount of money that I was on my first day. Because these jobs don't compensate employees based on work performance or loyalty. They get increased, they get 3% merit increases every year. And 3% isn't keeping up with inflation. You're barely keeping your head above water. And for many people, with as expensive as things are right now, they're drowning. And today, my Gen Z is like, I don't understand why you can't make a living with a 40-hour work week. What's wrong with this country in which a person can't make it on one 40-hour job? And I said to him, you are in the $15 to $20 bracket. That's not a living wage. In order for you to reach a living wage, you're going to have to work 3 jobs. Even if 2 of them are part-time, you're going to need 3 jobs or find a source of passive income. Otherwise, our society isn't going to let you survive. We're no longer a 40-hour work week world. We are work until you make enough money to survive. That is what the work week looks like now for Gen Z and even older workers. Because this world isn't going to give us a break just because we're tired, just because we don't want to do this anymore. Nothing about our current way of thinking is going to make the rules change. Life isn't fair. And the workplace right now is truly pushing that into your brain and forcing you to deal with the reality that your life sucks. This whole channel is built around the premise that life sucks. And the more that we sit around and twiddle our fingers hoping that it stops sucking at some point, it's not. We can't change the way that jobs function. All we can do is feel the world around us. We feel uncomfortable with these jobs. We don't want to go to these jobs. And I would say nobody wants to work anymore because you realize that that work that you put in, that hard work, that showing up every single day on time and then leaving early, that it's not leading you anywhere. And it was never designed to do that. We're seeing the retailization of the workforce. Everyone is being treated like a retail worker. And any person who's worked in retail for any amount of time will tell you that the position doesn't change to accommodate you. The position will always be open. It will always be there, waiting for a desperation worker to come and fill out an application. In fact, yesterday was the first time that I have seen a paper application on the counter at this smoothie shop that we went to. I hadn't seen a paper application in so long I didn't even think they existed. But the owner of this place must go through so many employees that he's had to put the applications right there in front of you. Because now, if you're a desperation worker, it's like, man, I could really use a job. Oh my gosh, there's a job application right in front of me. Whether or not they're going to take it depends on the amount of desperation, how long they've been unemployed, and how much they're willing to humiliate themselves in a minimum wage job. And it's not just for young people anymore. I'm going to keep saying that. Everyone out there that I've ever talked to is like, well, minimum wage jobs are for high school students and for senior citizens that can't get real jobs. That's not true anymore. You can end up in a corporation, just like I have, get into a job that you thought was a good job, and within a few weeks realize, oh my God, all my coworkers are also trapped here. All my coworkers have either wives, children, or working a second job, or living a substandard life. I don't live in this roach infested studio apartment because it's good for my health. I live here because I have to, and I don't want to live here. But like with most of us, we don't like the food we have to eat. We don't like the amount of money we get paid. We don't like driving around in that death mobile, the promobile that could die on us at any moment's notice. That's the number one thing that a poor people car does. It's completely unreliable and you can't afford to fix it. All right, my final talking point here: systemic barriers to entry level opportunities. Companies increasingly neglect to offer junior or entry level positions that could lead to career growth. So, this came up when I said even getting certifications in order to upskill yourself has been put behind a wall because many companies require that you have so many years of experience in order to be able to pass that certification. Now, I can't think of a more barbaric thing to do than to put a certification behind years of experience that you can't get until you get the certification. And as my coworker said today, there are no entry level positions within this country that could help a person lead them lead them to a career. There is no career growth here. And it's purposely. I didn't know how to convey this information years ago, but it was a pattern that I was seeing. You were coming out of college, you were going into a workplace, either you were overqualified, let's say you come out of college and you wanted to apply to a fast food job, and they don't hire you. Well, then you go up a few tiers to a job where you interview with the hiring manager and he tells you, sorry, there are much better applicants in front of you. We can't offer you a position. And this goes on for thousands of applications. Like I've said on this channel almost on a daily basis, I have spent my life putting in applications for jobs that I thought that I could do. And the university is the worst one. I believe it was Mello was asking me about this on Saturday. She's like, why don't you just go back to work at ASU? And I said, they won't hire me without a STEM degree. And the last time I interviewed with them, they said to me that I had the wrong education. And she looks at me with this puzzled face on her look. It's like, but you got your education at ASU. And I said, yes. But still, they become much more picky. They know that more and more people that have much higher level degrees of skill and advanced degrees in STEM can apply for the same job. So they'd have to pay me the same amount of money than a person, let's say, this is something I actually heard at a job interview. We were hoping that someone from Microsoft would want to take this job because they would get the tuition waiver. That's why the pay is so low. We're using the tuition waiver to try and get a much better candidate into this position. Can you imagine hearing that? Because obviously I got called into that interview because I was qualified on paper, but I wasn't quite the level of desperation that they were looking for. Desperation just doesn't come from the bottom. Desperation can also come from a person who is a senior level position who's going to take a pay cut and take a position that is beneath them. They are underemployed in this job, and waiting for that person to take an underemployed position is something that they will sit there and they will continuously put the job onto their website, close it, not hire, and then claim that no one they wanted took the job. They want someone who's underemployed there. They don't care if it takes months to fill a position. We had a job open when I was there for nearly a year, and this is what they wanted. They wanted someone who was going to come there and be overqualified, but be able to do the job easily, and they would just exploit them. And I believe that's the model that most other jobs are taking. Everyone that I know that works in technology is underemployed for their position. They're underemployed, they're underpaid, and they're overworked. This is just the way our society functions. All right, so what did I put into my toxic positivity? Remember, as much gloom and doom as I bring onto this channel, I do try to make it seem informative and funny. That's why I add all my little jokes in there. Because if I was just coming out here like Dave Ramsey and telling you were screwed because you were starting to save for retirement in your 60s, what would be the point of that? It's funny. So in toxic positivity today, I put something that's been happening to me in retail my whole life, and that's people hiding in the bathroom. When I worked at Walmart, if you spent more than 5 minutes sitting on the bowl, your manager would come and start knocking on the door and asking you what was wrong. Why is this your third bathroom break? Why do you keep going to the bathroom so much? And if it got to the point, you would be required to go to the doctor to get a doctor's note on why you need to be in the bathroom so often. The catch-22 to this is that most people who work there couldn't afford to take a day off to go to the doctor and didn't have medical insurance unless it was through their parents. So it was a great way of finding a reason for you not to work there anymore. And my current Gen Z is the exact same way. Every time I turn my head, he's in the bathroom. And I hate to say it, he's probably on his phone shaking hands with the governor while he watches The Hub. That's my only thought process. What else would he be doing in there? There's always time for shaking hands with the governor, whether you're at work, you're in your car, you're behind a Circle K, wherever you're at, it's possible to just beat it. And sadly, we've become a world of beaters. You know, most of us aren't getting satisfaction out of a normal day. So we're in that public bathroom, you're in that porta potty, no matter where you're at, as long as you can duck behind some bushes and no one can see you, just beat it. Anyhow, I wanted to end the video with a little humor. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and remember, you can beat it anywhere as long as no one can see you.